Hey, everybody, I was having a little technical difficulty here with this, video. Um, you know, yep, this is, your brother, Talib, coming to you from my, channel. Um, I just want to touch up on something, because I've really been, you know, analyzing what's going on, around this country and a little bit or even what's going on throughout the world. But I want to say this here. Them last other couple of series videos I've made over recently ago concerning why black Americans should get out of America is something that I apparently stand on. And very much I have been driven to the point that I cannot abandon that conviction in the way that I feel concerning that, because of how the elements of what's going on in this country make it so dangerous to just be black in America. I mean, every time you turn around, you worrying about if some racist cop gonna pull up on you because you black or brown, and decide because they see a darker skinned person they want to blow their head off, or they want an excuse so they could blow your head off. If you were dark-skinned descendant of a slave born in America primarily, and if you're dark-skinned period in this country. And it's like I feel like this here. It's becoming more hazardous and unsafe of being here. And believe me, once I do find myself at the right time, moment of opportunity, when I do find myself in the right position, I may leave America and not look back. And there are a few brothers and sisters who have done so, whether they went to Africa or whether they went to other places outside of America. And I'm going to tell you something. One thing I'm not going to do, and that's to those of you who are into Pan-Africanism or claim to be Pan-African activists in the conscious community. I'm not going to Africa, and I have very legitimate reasons on why. But that's another subject altogether, which I'm not initially doing this video about, but I just want to just throw that point in there, because right now, I mean, it's really getting bad for us. Our leadership here as black people has gone down the drain. They can't be trusted, whether it's in the political arena, whether it's in the so-called religious arena, whether it's in even the so-called activist arena. Our leadership cannot be trusted. And this is constantly being proven over and over and time again, that our leadership cannot be trusted for nothing in the world right now as black people in America. I mean, I'm not going to get it twisted. Sister Maxine Waters, she's done some things you know, that have brought awareness to our oppression when it came to the so-called war on drugs back in the 90s, you know. But and I also, you know, support her quest in what she's trying to do to work on getting this racist president out the White House, you know, which I would say good luck with that and however that turned out. But anyway, you know, she's also made some mistakes like all of those among our black leadership in this country has. And one of those mistakes that she's made is that her, as well as sister Kamala Harris, who's running for president, both of them are from California. And they are not saying anything, not one word, about the brutal attacks that Mexican gangs are all out unleashing on black people in Southern California. It's an all out, you know, unleashed attack against black people in Southern California. And they're not initially even targeting the black gangs that's out there, like the Crips and Bloods. They're just targeting regular, ordinary, if that's what you want to call it, black people, you know. And, you know, Kamala Harris and Maxine Waters is just turning a total blind eye to this situation. And, you know, I say, you know, of course, they need to be held accountable for this, you know, because those districts that they come from are located in that state where this is taking place at. And, I mean, you know, it's like, I don't care. You know, I remember KRS-One made a rap song over 25 years or 20 some years ago. And he spoke about, you know, the fact that no matter that we had 366 mayors, black mayors, but it still ain't served no effective purpose for us as black people in this country. And that still stand definitely on true ground today with these black politicians, as we could see even in the case with the unquote first black president that we just had, Barack Obama, you know. And then, you know, it's like we don't have no chance here in America. I mean, all these police killings of blacks that's going on, even the ones that have been investigated by the U.S. Justice Department, none of them have been prosecuted whatsoever. And so, I mean, it's like they just, you know, I mean, it's clearly obvious that they are worried, first of all, which is something I'm going to touch on in a minute in this video. They're worried about the future because they know that they may not be the majority as a group of people in this country, which has already been projected in stuff like that. But, you know, I would like to say that this is one reason why they're getting crazy. But before I go further into that, I'd say to those of you, black people, whether you are a born descendant of a slave born in America, or I'm gonna be honest with you, I mean, even those of you that are brown, you know, especially coming from places like Central America and stuff like that, or Latin America. I mean, you see how this racist political establishment feel about you in this country. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, separating your families at the border. I mean, it can't right now at this point, it can't get no worse like that. Because see, black people understand what it is to be separated from families like we had to endure during the times of historical chattel slavery in this country. So, I mean, for you as Hispanics, it can't get no worse than that right now. I mean, it can, but for right now, it can't get no worse than that. So, I mean, for me as a descendant of a black slave born here in America, I have to say that if you choosing to come to America, I think you better look in another direction as far as going somewhere to pursue a better life, for yourself and families. Canada, which is north of here, is an option. You got places in Europe, that's an option. Australia, New Zealand, other developed countries, that's an option. Because I'm going to say this, and this is definitely directly to those of us that are dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America, which is why I initially once again decided to make this video about this particular topic, and also about what I'm about to get into concerning the decrease of the Caucasians' population here in this country. But anyway, like I said before, it's so much going on. Like I say, it'll take me, like a Native American would say, 1,000 moons to, explain all this at one time. But, it's like this. We need to prepare ourselves, especially as black Americans who are descendants of slaves born in this country, to get the hell out of here. Because this nation is looking to crash. I mean, and for those of you who don't think so, you got a rude awakening coming. You got countries like China, Russia, that's working diligently on setting up a system where the world market, when it comes to trade and all this other good stuff, and purchasing and buying power ain't got to no longer depend on the American dollar. I mean, but yet you still want to remain comfortable in your oppression, thinking this is going to be the same always. And the way things is looking, that situation is looking more bleaker and bleaker. And this is why those of us who already have the means and resources, especially financially, that's like I said, primarily black and even as well as brown people, might as well just, pack up and prepare to go somewhere else. Because it's gonna get ugly. And the way Trump is messing this situation up with this country, it may not even matter who the next president that come in after him. It may not even matter. Because right now, the way he's made this situation domestically, and as well as far as foreign relations is concerned abroad, no one trusts America. Even its allies' trust is becoming more limited because of the crap that he's pulling. And it may get to the point where they ain't gonna even want to trust the next president coming into the White House after him. We're in serious times, people. This is what I'm talking about. We're in serious times right now. And, even though this has been going on long before Trump, but see, what Trump is doing is that he is, escalating the situation that was already there. He's escalating the situation which was always laying dormant to happen anyway, which many people, warned us about a long time ago, up to now. But yet, those of us, especially as dark-skinned descendants of slaves in America, refuse to take heed. Thinking that, America can't never crumble. I mean, look at what happened to Great Britain, the UK, which is the mother country of America. She had a whole vast empire that covered just about this whole entire globe, especially when it came to so-called Commonwealth nations. Now look where Britain is at. Look where the UK at. I mean, we forgot about Germany that was on the course of becoming a big world power under Hitler. Look what happened. I mean, so America is not exempt from this. I just want to quickly remind y'all of that. And like I said, primarily, not to get too far off the subject, but things is happening. I mean, you got these foreign governments like with Russia affecting the election process. I mean, and people that's in so-called power like Trump, especially because it's benefiting him, don't care. And others that support him in the political arena don't care because they benefiting off it. So, I mean, this is where we are at. And especially with the racism that's going on here, especially against those of us, especially as dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America, I must say, once again, it's definitely not looking good at all for us. Remember, when anything catastrophic happens in this country, just go back and look at the Great Depression of the 1930s. And just look back. Everything that this country ever suffered through economically or across the board when it came to war, who was the most affected by it? Black Americans or dark-skinned descendants of slaves born in America. We've always been hardly affected more than anybody else by whatever ills this country face. So keep thinking that, manure don't stink. Because, believe me, the stuff that you see going on, especially in third world or undeveloped countries, is approaching very more swiftly toward the doorsteps of America. And I'm going to say this here. Right now, and I'm going to repeat it again, this is definitely not a safe time to be black in America. I don't care if you're working, just living, walking around, sitting around, minding your business, being black, doing all that, it just ain't safe. You got these racist crackers calling police on somebody over mundane, petty stuff. Like that white woman in California called the police on that little black child for standing in front of an apartment building selling lemonade. You know, and I just heard recently that another black child had the police called on him for something similar as to that. You know, I mean, just crazy stuff. Even though it's a good thing that the state of Michigan, which is a state that I am natively, originally born and raised, just passed a law the other day where you just can't call the police on black people just about anything petty, especially when it's non-emergency calls. And I salute those in Michigan that push for that to happen. And but that's just not enough. That still ain't enough. I'm here to just tell you that's not enough. Because now, with the races and them knowing that their population, especially of their group as Caucasians, is decreasing, especially due to birth, fertility rates decreasing, and all this other stuff that come along with their population being on the brink of annihilation, they're going crazy. That's what all this is about. That's what all this crap with this abortion stuff that we seeing in the news right now currently is about. Because they don't want no Caucasian babies to be aborted. They could care less about black babies being aborted, which is what Planned Parenthood was all about from the beginning. Far as our extermination as a people in this country. But that mainly is about them not wanting to abort Caucasian babies. And which is the main states that passed these laws to prohibit abortion? Mississippi, Alabama. Okay, look at where Mississippi, Alabama. We already know these are some of the most pro-racist states, or among the most pro-racist states in this country, especially down south. What that tell you? You know, so like I say, you know, we have to wake up and realize where we are at right now as black people in this country. I mean, every day I walk up out of here. I mean, this may not be no Detroit. This may not be no Chicago. This may not be no Baltimore, LA, Oakland, Dallas, New Orleans, Atlanta, Miami, where I'm at. But I'm still subject to walk out this door and get my head blew off or attacked by some racists, whether they're law enforcement or whether they're non-law enforcement. And that's the reality right now. Especially being that, you know, yeah, I am around in this place where it is a majority of Caucasians and also in a conservative Trump back state. You know, but I have to say this here. It don't make no difference what we had in America. Because just as much as they could kill us in places like where I'm at, they killing us steadily, like we hear about in Baltimore, New York, Chicago. I mean, the list goes on. So, I mean, you pick your choice because it really don't make no difference. The point is that it's definitely not safe at all being black in America right now. And they're showing their hatred for us on all different type of levels right now. At this point, because of the fact that Trump merely have given them the green light to do so. You know, and even though Barack Obama didn't do nothing for black people as president, but just because of the fact that he was a black man in the White House sitting in that Oval Office position where Trump's sitting at now, that's still carrying over into this current racist president's administration, because they ain't forgot about that. They still hated the fact that it was a black president. Okay, whether he was a descendant of a slave born in America or a descendant of a black man from Kenya or whatever, and his mother was, it don't make no difference. He was still a black man that served as president of the United States. Okay, and the fact is that they are mad about that still. So that, you know, animosity and hostility is being carried over into this phase of this part of the history that we're enduring right now here in this country. This is why you got the Charlottesville massacre situation going on. The similar situation that took place across the country in Portland, Oregon. Situation, white supremacy group recently, Ku Klux Klan, attempted a rally in somewhere in Ohio, I heard, but it was like 500 counter protesters that outnumbered them. But you know, like I said, I mean, it's getting bad. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. These groups like the Ku Klux Klan and the Aryan Nation, their numbers is growing. You know, and I'm gonna tell you something, and more sympathizers is growing in numbers. More Ku Klux Klan and other white supremacist groups, sympathizers is growing in numbers. So I just want you to understand and know what we are facing as a dark-skinned group of people in this country. As dark-skinned descendants of slaves born here in America primarily. I just want us to know what we're facing. You know, it's like right where I live at here, you know, in Nebraska, it was just a recent attack on a Arab Muslim. A young Arab Muslim was just recently attacked by two white males because of his or her religion. I forget if it was a male or a female, but it was a Muslim and they were of Arab descent. I assume, because you don't have, where I'm at, it's not that many black American Muslims. Now they got Africans and Arab Muslims here. So but anyway, it was a foreign Muslim that was targeted here. You know, they didn't go into the victim's identity, but it was a non-Caucasian who was a Muslim convert that was targeted here. Matter of fact, on the same side of town where I live at in this area, you know, so that's presently, far as I know, being investigated. But like I said, these people is running around here out their mind. They're becoming more emboldened, just like the president himself is, because he know what he's gonna face, even when he get out the White House, when he's no longer the sitting president. We just heard that guy that did that Russian probe investigation, Robert Mueller, say this morning that the only reason he ain't decided to prosecute him was because he's a sitting president. You know, but like they said, he ain't gonna always be a sitting president. So, I mean, he's losing his mind, and the more he loses his mind, these followers of his that got their head stuck between their butt cheeks is gonna keep losing their mind. Especially like these dumb so-called white supremacists. You know? And they're gonna, they're gonna attempt to wage more attacks, on so-called people of color, much as possibly as they think they can, as far as getting away with it, those that they consider weak or vulnerable. Just like with the situation I was telling you about, with the Mexicans. Now, I'm going to tell you something. The Mexicans is being used out there in Southern California. Because most of them attacks that's being carried on in blacks, like in the LA and Compton area, those attacks are a result of a direct order, from what I understand through sources that I found this out through, that are directly coming from them California state prisons. The Mexican mafia gangs that's in them California state prisons are the ones that's sending them direct orders to have this done to black people in Southern California. And this is also a direct result of them being aligned with the White Aryan Nation Brotherhood. And because they're aligned with them, they have made a pact. And one of the pact agreements is to wage an attack out on black people in Southern California. Because the White Aryan Nation has become powerful in the prisons out there to that point where they are spearheading this thing with these Mexicans that's terrorizing blacks in Southern California. Although they're not approaching the gangs like the Crips and Bloods, because they know the chances of them being retaliated against is very high. So they go after black people that are non-gang affiliated. Like I said earlier, those are us that's, considered as ordinary, so-called ordinary black people, who are not gang affiliated or whatever. So they, like the old, the elderly, older, middle age, people with disabilities, that's who they're targeting. And that's who these racists are targeting as well throughout the rest of the country when it comes to black people. So, I mean, this is serious. We have to, of course, black people are not going to step up. It's been proven over and over. And our history is, we're not going to come together. We barely was able to get out of slavery, out of chattel slavery, which it took 300 years for that to happen. So like I said before, we don't have no strong history of unity in this country as a people. This is one of the reasons why, even though I repeated it on platforms that I was on over recently ago, I've repeated this in other videos I made in the past, that this is the reason why I left the so-called black conscious community and so-called black activism alone in this country altogether. Because I don't see no future and hope in none of that crap. It's done nothing for us. Even from the time of Marcus Garvey on up to now, it's done nothing. But got most of us who's still into that frame of mind, delivering nothing but lip service, but ain't producing no action. As they say, work. They just on YouTube videos running their mouth. And I'm not saying that some of the stuff I hear on social media is none right and exact or totally untrue or what they be speaking. But even the truth, it ain't nobody really effectively acting on it in terms of what's going to get our people up out this hell situation that we're in. So I'm one of those ones, you could call it what you want to. You could call it scared, coward, weak, all you want to. I don't care about that either. But all I'm going to say is this. I know what I see in front of me that's going on. And of course, I don't believe in this religious hocus pocus fairy tale stuff, or wait around, give our people a chance to get themselves together so that we could unite. All that there is wishful thinking. Because at the end of the day, most of us is gonna die as slaves, unfortunately, as we've always been. But you know what? Like I said before, those of us as individuals, and I'm talking about us as black people who are descendants of slaves born here in America, particularly as well, that our only option is to relocate outside this country where we have some type of insight that we're going to be treated more decently as a human being. That's all we live for anyway, is to be respected and treated as a human being like everybody else who want to be. Because at the end of the day, all this stuff which was created by the racism, far as race, color, and all that, like a brother told me, in which I could agree with, only color when it comes to the matter of how our body makeup is and all that, color is only 16% of it. So really, that don't mean nothing. You could be dark as me or darker as a big Michelin tire and still be my arch enemy. And I got many, and there are many dark-skinned people that is just as worse as the Caucasian, if not worse. Okay, so I don't go into all that. And another thing I want to point out too, another problem with this situation is that the Black conscious community do not talk about those Caucasians like John Brown and other anti-slave abolitionists that fought, put their lives on the line just so black people could get out of chattel slavery during that turbulent point in our history as a people in this country. Those of you, once again, in the Black conscious community, do not talk about or push the issue out front about those Caucasians that put their lives on the line and that actually lost their lives just so we could have a few gains from this civil rights struggle that we're still somewhat to an extent benefiting from in this country. We don't want to talk about that because we, for some reason, don't see a need to become allied with certain Caucasians, like those that are progressives in the political arena in this country. That's against that bull crap that those who look like them are causing this country to go through, and which is leading to this country's demise, politically and economically. See, you don't want to talk about aligning with people like them. What, because they Caucasian? It's a lot of blacks you can't trust. If that's the case, or if that's what you're worried about, It's a lot. Look at Louis Farrakhan. That's a prime example. Look at Al Sharpton. That's a prime example. You know, and the list could go on and on. So I don't really care nothing about that. You know, I'm not on that crayon tip. You know, it's about a human thing at this point. But the reality is still that, you know, the truth of the matter is that because it happens to be 40-some million of us here as black people in America who are descendants of slaves born in this country, that we finding ourselves in a worse position. And because of the fact that we're not willing to unite as a whole, or to the point of enough of us uniting at least, without all of us uniting, to turn this situation around, what's the point of staying here in America, risking losing your life, going to prison, or dying, even just based on the fact because you black? I mean, this is the reality. I just told you in this video, they just passed a law in my home state of Michigan that put an end to that bull crap about people calling the police on black people for frivolous reasons. This is going on throughout many other parts of the United States, including right here where I'm at. This is real. But, you know, I mean, you want to live comfortable in your oppression. You know? So, yeah. I have a reason to raise these concerns in this video. And I have a legitimate reason, especially because of the fact that we have incompetent leadership in this country and so-called incompetent organizations that ain't making matters better. And that's even those that's on YouTube preaching this so-called pro-black stuff, you know, that's leading our people to the slaughter. Like, you got these channels, you know, still trying to encourage our people to go to Africa. Go to Africa for what? So we could get killed over there? That's what they want to do. That's why they got the U.S. military AFRICOM complex set up over there for. You idiots, wake up. Those of you that's ignorant and want to stay ignorant to the fact, wake up. They want to send us over there so that they could kill us, because they know if they try to kill us all at once over here in the United States, the world is going to be looking. That's what that's all about. That's why that one bit video that brother made, that if blacks do decide to go over to Africa, you might as well have your own army set up over there. And them African governments ain't going to protect you over there. Especially because not only the fact that they are working for the European colonists and the Asian colonists that's raping that land over there for its natural resources. Look, they killing their own people over there. Especially with them so-called black dictators over there. You think they care about us? So we gonna be all messed up going over there. You know, so like I said, we need to wake up. You know, and we need to smell the coffee and recognize this thing is serious and stop playing. You know, I just don't see no hope in our people ever liberating, as far as black people in this country is concerned. It's no hope. We tried everything that we could, failed at it miserably. Then not only the fact that we have to worry about the races infiltrating, but we got these docile, dumb Negroes going along with this program, willingly or unwillingly. and it just don't make no sense. So like I said before, what's the point? The best thing brothers and sisters could do, and whatever resource you got, trade, skills, or whatever, take it somewhere else and use it to better yourself and your lives and the lives of your families. That's the only thing I could say about that. Because it's a deadly serious situation to be black in America. You could walk up the streets, like I say, and get your hair blew off right now. And more than 9 times out of 10, given the right time and opportunity, won't nothing be done about it. You just be a dead Negro. I mean, this is just a reality. If you don't go to prison first over some trumped up bull crap charges, like they got a lot of our brothers and sisters locked up on in these prisons, or as Noble Drew Ali called it back in the 20s, dismal crypts throughout the country. Yeah, this is real. This is definitely real. So, I mean, like I said before, this is just something I want to point out. And right now, I must move on for this time being. And in my closing, all I have to say is, once again, it's a dangerous time being black in America. And if you want to remain comfortable, like you have no cares in the world, living in this oppression, that whatever happens to you, sadly, that's your fault. If whatever happens to you, sadly, just based on the fact because you black, is your fault. And with that said, I'm out of here. Peace.